What's up, everybody? It's me, Johnny, and with me this week I have the self-proclaimed leader of AnavCast, DJD.
Howdy.
And in the booth, I've got Craig. What's up, Craig? There is no Farmer on this episode. Not only, Farmer is a no-call, no-show. Not only is he not here, he didn't even say he wasn't coming this week.
Yeah. Which, I mean, isn't the first time he's done that, but it's pretty rare. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like the season, you know? Like, maybe he's got, like, other things going on. Like, you know, he's got, like, a film deal or something, and, like, that's keeping him busy. I'm not sure.
Craig, have you talked to Farmer at all? One of the things I was just talking with DJD about is how Craig doesn't like to talk to him. Ever since that review way back, Craig and DJD's relationship has been super frosty. I have to do all the communication between them both. Craig talks to me to talk to DJD.
I just, you know, like, sometimes you can be friends with your boss and sometimes you can't. You know?
Ooh. I mean, like, oh man, Craig, you have anything to say about that? Yeah. You know, D and I started this podcast, or right before we started the podcast, one of the things that I said, there's a couple of unfortunate things that's weighing on everyone's mind Tuesday, September 16th. And one of those things is that DJD and I both did not watch the Nintendo Direct.
We did not know.
I've got nothing to talk about. I know that they announced a new Kirby game or something. I know that, and if you guys hear all that background noise, it's because Chiho's in the studio doing stuff. It's also your studio. It's fine. You know, in the old studio, this used to happen all the time. I know they have like a Pokemon Stardew Valley type game, like a Pokemon life simulator thing.
Like, literally all that I saw was somebody saying, "Oh, it's like Pokemon meets Stardew Valley," and then like that's all I saw. And then they said the name of it, like Pokemonaria. I don't know, something like that. That sounds like a disease, actually. So
you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Pokemonaria. The game is called. Wow, it's just pulling up these mods. Stardew Ranch. Where is it? This is my favorite part of the podcast, where it's like almost as bad as the virtual bit, or the visual bit.
Man, the virtual bit is pretty rough too.
Where is this? It's just pulling up the other game. Where is it? I was even talking about doing songs from this. Isn't it like Pokemart or something like that?
I called it Pokemonaria. Okay, so I mean, like, clearly I don't know.
It's Pokopia. Pokemon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of close.
It's a stupid name. Oh my god, Pokop. I can't even say it. What is this? Who came up with this? Pokopia. I guess like they're comparing it more to Animal Crossing. In the game, you're a Ditto that's been transformed to look like a human. Interesting. So here's the thing.
I feel like the Dittos that look like humans never quite managed to look that much like humans.
In the picture, it doesn't look like that human-y, but I guess it makes sense, because then, you know, you can look weird. They have Pokemon Legends, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I guess this is just the next Hyrule Warriors game. There's a Kirby game. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is coming out as well. But as far as I know, all of these titles are coming out on the Switch too. I don't actually know that. I'm just assuming it, because I know that the Pokemart or whatever, Pokopia, Pokemon Ranch is just a way better title. Anyway, that game is only coming out on the Switch 2, which you own a Switch 2.
I do own a Switch 2. Yes, I buckled down.
Are they like widely available in the US, or are they still hard to get?
They're pretty widely available. Like, I was just in Walmart the other day, and they had a bunch on the shelf. Or at least they had the
So
boxes there. I'm assuming that the boxes are, like, actually have units inside them, but who knows?
so here's the deal. My son wants a Switch 2. I kind of want one, but to be honest with you, again, I feel like I wouldn't really play it very much personally, right?
Sure. Valid.
Like,
Okay. Yeah.
I kind of want one, but it would make more sense to get one for my son until something comes out. But I've got this new issue, which is in Japan, they have a Japan only region locked Switch 2. We've talked about this, right?
Right.
In the Japan only version, it only has like Japanese language support, and you have to have a Japanese Nintendo account to use it. And to try and stop like scalping and stuff, you have to have that account for a certain amount of time, blah, 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 blah. Right? So a lot of the foreign people, we've talked about this on the podcast. A lot of the foreign people here are upset because they want to be able to play their own, like with their own accounts, like from Australia or the US or wherever. And it won't work with that Switch. But that
Right.
Switch is in local currency, like an equivalent price, but like, it is technically cheaper than like if you were to buy it with US currency. So whatever. I need to get a actual Switch because here's the other big kicker for me is all of my previously bought digital games I will not be able to carry over. Well, Johnny, just make a
Really?
Japanese account. Well, of course, because they're all tied to that other
Oh,
account.
you mean okay, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
So,
Like if you were to
Johnny,
get
just
a Japanese one, you mean you wouldn't be able
if
to
if
carry
I
them,
was to get, I would need to make a Japanese account
right?
to be able to get a Japanese one. And then even if I switch the game themselves to English, which I don't know that I can, right? But like, okay, so like the system settings are in Japanese, but you can do the game language and whatever. Well, but I have a ton of digital games that I will
Right.
just not have access to on that Switch too because it's from an international account, which they don't allow. So
I
I
was
need to
yeah,
buy an international Switch too, the international
yeah.
version. Here's the kicker. You can only get the international version, at least right now, in Japan, from Nintendo's website. In order to sign up to get notified of when you can get one, you also have to have a Japanese Nintendo
My
account that like has
gosh,
been
no
active for a
way.
certain amount of time.
No
So they have
way.
just literally like just stonewalled everybody out. If you don't have a
Yeah.
Japanese Nintendo account, you cannot buy a Switch 2 in Japan. Or like you can't do it without however. So the like this sounds funny, but really the best option for me to get a Switch 2, which I don't even really have the money right now to do it, like I don't have a reason to do it necessarily, right? Would
Sure.
be for me to either buy one or have a friend buy one in America and then have them ship it here, or have a friend buy one in America and like bring it when they come to visit. That's it. That's literally the best option. That would be cheaper than me flying to America to buy one. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
I guess maybe I could fly to like Guam or something. Guam's America, right? Or
It's
Hawaii.
almost like I wonder if that would facilitate if that continues a switch smuggling ring or something. Like I
I
mean like
almost
I feel like that's like the perfect like combination of factors to like create that, you know? To
right.
have like a group of people like third party selling Switch 2s because Nintendo literally won't let you get it in a reasonable way. Like, yeah.
I don't have any friends anymore who live on like an American military base in Japan. I bet they sell the American Switches on the American military bases because they have
Ooh,
like
that's
American
probably
everything.
true. Yeah.
That would be a
Yeah.
way to get it, but I don't know anybody. I don't have a base friend, that can do that for me. But the all of that to say, I didn't watch the Nintendo Direct. I saw announcements for a few of the games, and I don't know that all of them are, but I saw a lot of them are just for the Switch too, which is super valid. The Switch is pretty aged, and I experienced something I have not experienced in a while, which is I was like, oh, I'm kind of sad that I can't play this game.
Was it for a particular game?
I think it was for the Pokemon one, like that
Okay.
Poketopia or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested in that for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
Oh,
it's on the Switch too. I won't be able to play it.
the one thing I don't like about the Switch 2 is ironically one of the best things about it that like literally wouldn't apply to you unless you got like an international version, which is that everything carries over, right? Like, well, most
Mm,
things, not everything, but most things, like
it was
most
like
of
the
my games
Xbox upgrade kind of a
carried
deal.
over. And yeah, so like, I mean, like, it basically was just like, like, okay, like very little difference between, obviously, it's a better system, better hardware.
Right.
It's got like better games, I mean, arguably. Um, like the Donkey Kong game is really good now that I'm into it and like actually like discovered the rhythm to it and everything. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but like just the whole concept of like having something kind of like set up automatically for you does kind of take like the new car smell out of it,
Right.
you know? I mean, eh,
On the flip side, I think you would feel so. I kind of experienced this when I upgraded my Xbox, but I still ran an Xbox One X for quite some time actually at home. So the setup at the time was I had an Xbox One X was like hooked up to my TV, and then I had an Xbox Series S that was in the studio for streaming, right? And at first, I didn't notice like it was complete parity, right? Like they were exactly the same thing going between them. Like, oh, because I had like the more powerful Xbox One and then like the weaker Xbox Series console. So it really
right.
was like no difference at all. I'm playing all the same games and all that stuff. But I did start to notice the Xbox Series S doing really well with some things. And I did notice when games started being only on the series consoles and
Yes.
not on the
Yeah.
last one.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I can only play this game at the studio. But you're right. At the beginning, it just feels like exactly the same thing. You're like, what is the point of this? You know?
Right. And there's
But
aspects of that that are convenient and even like preferable. Like it's kind of nice in a lot of ways that I don't have to like, like go to all this extra work of like finding things in a store and then verifying that I own it or whatever, like or even worse, having to rebuy it, like
right,
which would actually cost me money. Like,
right.
no,
How many
I
times have
don't
you bought
want
certain
that.
games? Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean like it's just there's the novelty of a thing that I think is actually really valuable to like the whole concept of it being new. And when you lose that novelty, it kind of loses like a piece of that value that like
Mm.
I'm on the edge of something. This is a brand new era, a bookmark, a new chapter, I mean like yeah.
But I feel like that feeling happens less and less with technology as
Yes, I would
opposed to when we
absolutely
were
agree.
younger.
Yes. Yeah.
I got that new TV. So I got a new TV on Saturday. I got a 4K TV. I've already talked about this with David, but I got a 4K TV. I'm only like what, like 10 years late on that? 8 years maybe?
Yeah.
And the worst part is it does look pretty good. I will
It
admit.
does.
It
It
does look pretty
does.
nice.
Yeah.
It's not a big TV. It's on parity with my other one, so it's probably like 36 inches, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. But I don't have a couch upstairs yet. But setting that up was so easy, right? It's like, oh, scan this QR code. You're signed in to Disney Plus. Scan this QR code. You're signed in to Netflix, right? Like
I
everything.
love
I
the
didn't have.
QR code stuff,
Oh,
actually.
it's
Like,
so
yeah,
good.
it's so nice.
I had the whole thing set up really quickly. But like, before, or even like buying a new phone, right? Nowadays, it's just like exactly the same as everything. Your phone just carried over, right? Boom, you just have new hardware. But remember back in the day when you got a new phone, it was like you got a new phone, right? You had to get new
Right. Yeah.
contacts, you had to do all of that kind of stuff. It's not really like that anymore. But also, I feel like technology isn't taking insane strides forward like it used
Well,
to.
that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah. Is that like everything is so incremental to the point where like we're paying like a ridiculous amount of money for like the smallest steps forward.
Yeah.
And not that is on purpose a segue into the new iPhones, but I mean, like it can
I'm
be.
glad I'm glad you brought that up. Well, no, so let's talk about the new iPhones. I am an Apple shill. Okay. I have an iPad, I have an Apple Watch, I have an iPhone, I have an Apple TV. I was on Mac before iPhones came out, before the iPhone, I was using Mac, and I was an iPod user. I'm all in on Apple. The new iPhones look like trash. What is
They
it?
don't
The
look great.
iPhone
Yeah.
17 Pro? They look so bad.
Yeah.
What's up with, first off, there's no black this year. I find that very interesting. What
I
the
think
orange looks gross.
I feel like the regular of one of them has black. Am I wrong?
I think maybe the regular one, but the iPhone
Yeah.
17 Pros don't.
Right.
They have
Yeah. There was no
orange,
black there. I
white,
noticed that. Yeah.
and blue, like navy blue.
Yeah.
They have this weird two-tone back thing that's supposed to be for like the cooling system or whatever. To me, you know what that says? Honestly, it's like, oh, they couldn't figure out how to help it cool, so they had to change this thing. They had to put this thing in there. It's like a compromise. Because they would have never done that. Like all of that stuff. Like it's also, can we talk about how, so first off, there's the new phone, 17 Pro. You positive or negative toward it?
It's fine. Like, I mean, like, if I didn't have a 15, maybe, like, if I was still on, like, an 11 Pro Max or
Right.
whatever, because I upgrade, like, every, like, 4 or 5 generations just because, like, A, that's usually when, like, my contract is completely paid off or whatever because I still go by contract, and then also, like, B, it's a far enough jump to kind of justify it, right?
Right.
Like, it's like, okay, like, there's enough features here that, okay, sure. Like, I guess it's time for a new phone. But like,
I am the same.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
100% the
kind
same.
of, yeah, I'm like, I don't need to have the absolute newest features of everything, right?
But
Like,
also, what new features?
yeah, no, that's a valid point. Like, I mean, I guess the biggest new feature, I guess, would be like the all 3 cameras are 48 pixel now, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which could be really cool. But I mean, like, I'd want to see it in operation first, because
Right.
like, I mean, like, they also touted like the night mode on the iPhone like 15 as being the best night mode they've ever had. And it's okay. It's way better than it was. But I mean, like, that's still like not great. It's not
Right.
magical, I mean, like, yeah, I don't
I
know.
am exactly the same as you. I do
Yeah.
every X amount. Like I had an iPhone 13 mini, and then I got an iPhone 16 Pro. But for that was even more just going to the Pro from the mini, you know?
Right.
But yeah, what upgrades? You know what? The only thing I could see that was really different, other than it's uglier, is on my 16 Pro, I have like a 5x zoom button. Technically, you can zoom in more, but it can manually just do 5 times really easy. Now it does 8 times. Because that's what
Right.
I wanted to do. I wanted a little more zoom.
Like, I don't know, with the aluminum body and everything, I get like that it's not great aesthetically. Like, it kind of does look like trash. But like, I would imagine that would be way more like resistant to like damage, I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine. Like, but like, yeah, there's just like, I'm going through the Apple website right now and I'm just an 18 megapixel front camera, that's kind of cool, sure.
Yeah, now
Oh,
there's
the
center
thing,
stage on the front camera. Who cares?
being able to take a picture without rotating your phone is kind of cool. But I mean, like,
Sure.
that's like an extra thing, Like, that's
Right.
a bonus. That's something that I wouldn't buy a phone for, I mean,
Right.
like,
It's not a feature,
yeah,
right? It's
right.
not like
Yeah.
a hardline feature that you need. Oh man, this is going to sound ridiculous though. That actually is a pretty sweet feature. Because the amount of times I have to tell so for a long time, I was telling my wife, we take horizontal photos. Then on slideshows and stuff, it all looks the same. Please turn your phone horizontally. And she never would for years. She always is taking vertical photos and vertical videos, and I'm always taking horizontal photos and horizontal videos so they never line up. And when we're looking at them, we gotta. It doesn't sound like a problem. It's a problem. So you know what happened, D? If you can't beat them, join them. I started taking vertical photos and vertical videos to match her, and guess what she started doing? She started taking horizontal photos and
No.
horizontal. I know. I'm like, I've been trying to get you to do this. This isn't in an exaggeration. I've been trying to get you to stop doing the vertical photo and video thing for 8
My
years.
gosh.
And like, I finally gave in and I just started doing it to line it up. And now, like, half the photos she sends me are like horizontal. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I stopped doing this for you, you know? So, you know what?
That's so funny.
Maybe you just sold me on these new phones.
Oh gosh. I mean, like, the problem is that you would still have to hit the button to turn it. So I mean, I don't know, like maybe she'd hit the button like half the time or whatever.
Ugh, yeah, like
Like but yeah. Like there's not yeah, like going through here, I just don't see anything really like if you have a 15 or up, I just don't see any reason really beyond like wanting the very, very edge of things, you know? Like, I mean,
there is I do like that the smallest size they give you now is like 256, right? Like that's the starting size now, which I think is cool.
oh, for like memory? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Except now I worry that because that's the starting one, they're going to start pushing updates that are like super huge to crowd out everyone who has like smaller phones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that
Which
maybe.
sounds very
Yeah.
conspiracy theory, but like, oh yeah, the new
That's
iOS update is like, or the new operating system just takes up way more space because like, oh well, the base level iPhones have more space, so that, like that's what they do, right? So
well,
that
and
is
like I mean, like,
nice,
yeah, that's almost like that's kind of like shrinkflation in a way, you know? Like I
right?
mean, like the way that like distributors of like certain products, like you get a pack of diapers, and instead of like having 20 in it, it has 15 now, but it's still the same price, quote unquote. You know, I mean, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, 100%. The also, what is the point of the iPhone Air? What is
Okay,
this
so
product?
I would imagine the problem is that I love tech, right? So I'm not the
Me too.
person to
Me too.
defend this thing.
I do too.
Like, I mean, like, this thing is not like, it's not, I would imagine this is a great phone if you love like having a very thin like phone in your pocket or something.
Who likes that? Who is this imaginary person that's like, you know what
I
I love
mean,
about my phone is that I'm constantly worried about bending it just in every moment.
that's a fair. I didn't think about like the bending aspect of it. But like I mean, like as someone who like generally has my phone in my front like right pocket or whatever, pickpocketers beware. But like
Because in his front left pocket is a gun.
no.
Watch
No,
out.
but there might be sharp objects in there too. So, you know, be careful. Uh but like
He
yeah,
keeps
it
the gun
just
in the back pocket. Sorry, go ahead. I'm just saying,
anyway,
pick
like
DJD's
it
pocket.
just
Watch out.
I don't understand necessarily why you would like want this worse version of an iPhone 17.
Right.
Like I
No, that's
think
my
that
thing too.
that's yeah, like I do like how slim it is, but also I don't think it's worth like the sacrifice of like the power that the iPhone 17 like Pro has. And then also my argument would be that the 17 Pro is also way thinner than like, you know, phones were like even like
Hmm.
5, 10 years ago or whatever. You know, I mean
Yep.
like
100%.
it yeah, like that I don't know. Like I guess this would be for people who like really like having a phone but never like have like the pockets big enough for it or whatever. Like I mean like people who like wear like sweatpants or leggings or something like that, maybe.
So we talked about this when they had the Apple Vision Pro. Apple's branding tends to be there is the thing, the mini thing,
Right.
the Air thing, and the Pro thing, right? And they don't all exist together. Usually Apple likes to three tier their stuff. And really what that turns into is the bottom tiered thing people just don't get, right? If you're going to get AirPods, you got AirPods, AirPods Pro, and AirPods Max. Well, AirPods Max are just ridiculously priced, but people still buy it, right? I was one of those people that still bought one.
Right.
AirPods Pro is in that sweet middle spot, and then there's like regular AirPods. Most people tend to buy the thing in the middle spot, right? They don't want the lowest one. They'll go one step up. All of their pricing is very strategic and very smart. And a
Sure.
lot of their branding, unlike Microsoft, Apple's pretty good about it, right? So, in a way, I think, oh God, I know there's a MacBook Air and there's an iPad Air.
Right.
The MacBook Air is a little interesting. So I think the Air terminology started with the MacBook laptop. And at the time there was the MacBook Pro, and then they introduced this super thin MacBook Air laptop, right? Which was more expensive than the regular MacBooks. But the whole thing about them, even though they only have like 2 ports on it, is just like, look at how thin it is. You can really easily fit it into like an envelope or like a briefcase or something, right? Really good for business people who need a laptop, but they don't need all this power and stuff. But the regular MacBook is actually just straight up gone nowadays, right? Like there's just the MacBook and then the MacBook Pro. And then they introduced the iPad Air, and the iPad Air so the iPad actually has all of it. There's the iPad mini, iPad Air, and then iPad Pro, right? But
Okay.
the
Yeah.
iPad, so the iPad mini is actually very expensive compared to everything. You would think it's the cheapest because it's small, but it's not. But the iPad mini has a very like kind of cult following of people who use it. Specifically, this sounds really weird, people in like the medical profession and pilots use the iPad mini a lot. That one is like kind of specific use case. There's regular iPad, iPad Air, and then iPad Pro. iPad Air is actually very popular, right? Because it's a little more expensive than the Pro. It's a little bit more, there's like a bump in specs, but it's not quite the Pro, right? It's not quite the iPad Pro. And so people tend to get this one because there's still headroom. But I think, I don't understand. I'm kind of with you here. I don't know who the iPhone Air is for. Because it's like the iPhone 17 is just a really solid iPhone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the new 17, baseline 250 gigs, a couple of new colors. Green is back, by the way, for the regular iPhone 17. Green is in there. It's just a solid phone. But like, what's the point of paying more to get the iPhone Air when it's like arguably not as good? Like,
It does seem
there's
weird also to make your base product like, like the lowest tier of a 3-tier like offering.
right. No, yeah, it seems weird, right? Well,
Yeah.
and like the iPhone Air, like, yeah, it's super thin. Is it? Let me double check that it is the lowest. Maybe the iPhone Air is cheaper, but then that's kind of weird because
I feel like the
no,
iPhone is it not?
it's more
Is it not the
expensive.
cheapest? That's kind of
Nope.
wild.
The
That's really
iPhone
kind of wild.
17 is starting at $800.
Oh wow, yeah.
The,
And
the
Air
iPhone
starts at
Air,
$999. Yeah. Wow.
but I don't know who this is for. To me, what I would be worried about is again the size of it, and then like the cases like only go around the side or whatever. It has a titanium frame, whatever. But I just don't get it. Like phones are already really thin, right?
Right.
Like so,
Yeah.
what is this? And then I really loved my iPhone Mini. Honestly, the only thing I didn't like about it was it has a smaller battery because it's just smaller, and
Right.
I wish they could have improved the battery life of it. If they released an iPhone 17 mini, I would actually be interested in changing my phone. That sounds so funny, but like really, I would be interested if the mini was like really, it's if it's like on parity with the other phone. Yeah, I would be about it. But the Air, what even is this? Who is the person who wants a super thin phone? Like, is that really what people want? I don't know. Am I out of touch? Maybe.
Like I don't know, like the only thing I can think of is like all the people working out, right? Like that's the only thing I can think of. is like I see tons of people who like have their phones tucked in their waistbands or whatever. And like, but like that's not even like that many people. That's such a niche like group of people, I feel like.
And it's such a niche amount of time in your daily life, right? Like your phone is
Right.
a thing that you
Yeah.
have with you all the time. Like when you work out, what are you going to
Well,
do,
and then
max
like
a few hours a day?
why wouldn't you like not take your phone at all then and just get an Apple Watch with
Right.
the new Apple Watch has like 5G, you know? Like I mean
You,
like
actually, the new Apple Watch SE has a lot of the features that I wanted from the series. So now I'm not going to get a series watch. I think I'll just get another SE Apple Watch.
sure.
Because
That makes
my
sense.
current
Yeah.
SE Apple Watch is a handful of years old now, and it's at like 72% of its battery health. And let me tell you, I charge it twice a day. And
Oof,
I don't
yeah.
even do anything. I don't even like work out with it and do all of that crazy stuff with it. And I have to charge it twice a day. It's wild. But yeah, so I guess my comment would be is that Apple did a great job sticking with its branding in the sense that I don't actually need to read anything about the iPhone Air to know what it is.
Sure.
And that
Yeah.
may be just because I'm very familiar with Apple products. You know what I mean? Like, sure, like I understand that like probably people who aren't so familiar with them don't know, but like just seeing iPhone Air, got it. Right?
But I
It's a
mean
step
like yeah,
above
like
that.
the
Sure.
consistent the synergistic consistent branding I think is really important. And I think that they do a good job with that overall.
But
Like if they
yeah,
were to reintroduce the iPhone mini, everyone would know what it was and not just because it says mini, but like also know, okay, this is going to have probably lower battery life, probably the cameras won't be quite as good or whatever, but it's going to be
but it's
like
small.
smaller in terms of yeah,
Yeah. Well, or even the
specifically like
Air.
height and width
They
or
went on to
whatever.
talk about it because it's a new product, but like if you're an Apple person, you're like, "Oh, got it. It's going to fall into
Yep.
this range. It's going to be thin." But I mean, one of the cool things is like apparently all of the internals are in that top bar. That's how they get it so thin. So then it's like, what does it feel like holding it? Everything in the phone is up in the top bar where the camera is. It must feel super weird, like balance wise,
Would
you
imagine
know?
the balance would be yeah.
I mean, I haven't held one. I don't really plan on, I don't think I'll ever get something like that. It's pretty wild, but yeah. Anyway, oh, I remember. So here's the other issue that Apple has. Um, every iPhone, every time they do a thing, guess what? This is the most advanced iPhone we've ever made.
Oh
This
sure.
is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best iPhone we've ever done. That's what they've said at every Apple event for like the last, what, like 10 years. Oh, guess
Right.
what? This Apple Watch has, let me start off this thing by talking about how this Apple Watch saved someone's life. And they give like this testimonial about somebody fell down and hit SOS on their Apple Watch and it saved their life. And then they're like, this Apple Watch is lighter and faster, and the battery life is better, and all of it. And it's just like, it's literally the same thing. It's like almost word for word, exactly the same as last year. And it's getting pretty boring, you know? Say what you want.
Yeah.
Like Tim Cook is fine or whatever and all that stuff. But man, Steve Jobs was way better at hyping up these products at these events than
I
these
think
videos are
like
nowadays.
that's one of the things that I feel like, a lot of companies just don't necessarily like put enough value on is the idea that like having someone who like is your spokesperson is actually a really powerful, important thing. Like you can actually you can say a lot of negative things about Elon Musk. We have on this very podcast. But as a front man, like, he kinda does know how to bring the hype a bit, you know?
Right,
Like, I mean, like yeah, like and that's a very important skill even if he isn't necessarily the most technologically, like, knowledgeable person when it comes
right,
to, like, his own companies, which,
right.
I
Or
mean, like
even
yeah,
I just referenced Steve Jobs.
right.
If you had to guess how long he's been dead,
Oh
how long
gosh.
he's been gone, how long do you think it's been since there's been a Steve Jobs?
I don't know, I wanna say, like, 10 years? Maybe 15?
Steve Jobs passed October 5th, 2011, bro.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember this
Jeez.
because the last iPhone release with Steve Jobs was the iPhone 4. Because
Can we
after
go
that was
back
the
to
iPhone
2011, please?
was the iPhone 4S, and people were like, "Oh, it's for Steve." That's what people were saying. The iPhone 4S. And I remember that, but to have a kind of, and you know what, I'm not, Steve Jobs was a complex person, sure, and like, you know, I don't want to say that like he was great or better or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but I am saying that to have a legacy where almost 15 years later, 14 years later, actually, almost 14 years later, I'm like, oh yeah, Steve Jobs was better at building hype than Tim Cook is. That's a pretty strong legacy for a CEO of a company.
Yep.
You know? And like you said, you know, having someone who can build hype and they don't even, you know, I don't for 1 second think that Steve Jobs was in the lab designing the iPhone,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
he was a visionary. He was a visionary and he was a very talented presenter to help get people excited about stuff, right? And he had an eye for detail. That's it. That's what I would say. Like, yeah, I'm not thinking like he's not back there with a solder, you know, on like the iPhone 3GS being like, let me just fix this. No, that
Well, and I
wasn't
would
his
even
way.
say like specifically like aesthetic detail when it comes down to it. Like not even necessarily like the most like technical detail one, but like
Right.
but yeah, no, I would fully agree. Like I mean like but I don't think I think it's a fundamentally different skill set to be able to charismatically like sell something or like even like talk about it passionately and express that passion in a way that like translates and like evokes that passion in other people as opposed to like designing something no matter like how cool it is that you can like design that thing and like
Right.
like I mean like another example I always think of is like Phil Spencer is really good about talking about Xbox. He makes
Mm,
flubs, you know, but I mean like and like sometimes he like events beyond his control kind of make him out like a liar, but I mean like he is a personality that like you hear him and you think, man, this guy loves video games. He loves Xbox. Like I want to buy from him. You know, I mean, like,
right.
you know, I
Well, and
want to
it's,
believe everything he's saying, even if I don't necessarily sometimes, you know, I mean, like, yeah,
and there's a couple of things to it too, right? Like in the meeting, right? In the presentation, in the room with the people, or even in the video, even if later things come up and it changes it and you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe he said this. It's not the way. But in the moment, he did a great job, right?
right.
Like in
Yeah.
that, like to the people that he was selling to, it was great. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And I think, you know, like, again, my complaint was that like it's always the same thing with these videos, these Apple videos now that they stopped doing like the live event and such. They still do it in a way that they have people come out to Cupertino and like try it and they have the influencers and such, but they make a video, right? They have like a prescriptive video that they make and that's like the reveal. It's not the same thing as it was back when like, you know, it's, you know, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or whoever on a stage and they're like, look, here it is, you know, kind of a thing. And it comes out and they like talk about it and do whatever. So I get that those things are different, but yeah, I was pretty underwhelmed with the iPhone announcements. More excited about the watch announcements personally because I'm in the market for a new Apple Watch eventually. But yeah, just in general, I mean, honestly, I was the Switch 2 all that different feeling of I guess it was a little different because the Switch is aged for so long to
I
be
think
like,
that's the
okay,
biggest
I'm
thing is that
excited.
it's been like that long. And then also like the tech upgrade is significant, you know? Like, I mean, like,
Because we
when you're
talk about
talking
being
about
on
the
the back
original Switch
half,
versus a Switch 2, like, I mean, it's a fundamentally different product, I would even say.
but we talk about being on the back half of the PS5, right? And like the Xbox Series generation. And just the idea that they're going to start marketing new consoles sounds crazy to me in like the next couple
Right.
years, right? That they're going to
Yep.
announce and market new
Yep.
consoles.
It's going to be
It's
soon.
like,
Yeah. Probably next year.
because
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, I feel like people still don't even necessarily play PS5s.
Yeah, I feel
You know what I
like
mean?
well, they're just I don't think I mean, like, I guess they do, right? Because, like, of how many sales and everything, like, but they're just. I feel like the value proposition of an upgrade just isn't necessarily there. But, like, at the same time, like, those sales numbers were insane for the new consoles. But
The sales
also, I
numbers were
wonder how
insane,
much
but then
of that was
how come I keep running into people who are still on PS4?
right.
How?
Yeah.
How do I keep like and I know that like it's anecdotal and all, but it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe those people who have, like, PS4s or, like, it's probably a mix, but, like, wouldn't necessarily have consoles to begin with, but nowadays they're just so ubiquitous with like mainstream life. Like maybe the console market has grown that much that
Mm,
like it kind of compensates for that.
that's true. Like for me, I was often a generation behind console wise as a kid,
Right.
right? Or I would get a console at that hardware refresh halfway through, right?
And I'm
The
also
first
curious like
yeah.
how much like COVID might have helped expand that market too, way
Mm,
beyond what it normally would have been, you know? In terms of like I I'm willing to bet I have like no like firm data to back this up. But like I'm willing to bet that like a lot of people picked up video games during COVID that never would have touched them otherwise, you know?
yeah, I think that's valid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't man, it's such a weird idea. Such
Yeah.
a weird idea.
How do
Especially,
you
in my
feel
household.
about like so everybody's really hyped about this. How do you feel about the live translation in the AirPods 3s? The AirPod Pro 3s?
You know, as someone who could really use a feature like that, to be honest with you, I just really question how
How
accurate
well
it
it'll work.
can
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of where I am too. Like I feel like the first iteration of any new feature like this ends up being like very disappointing very quickly. Like it's cool as a gimmick, but like
Yeah.
in terms of functional use, you know, like I mean, I had that same feeling about VR too, where like I really want and I still really want VR to be like useful, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
and it just isn't. But
Well,
like,
and being someone who lives in a multilingual context, and especially where I need someone to translate for me often, right? For me to
yeah.
understand and for me to speak to people. The truth is, I even get nervous watching world leaders talk to each other and where their translators are translating real time, like while the person's talking. I get nervous watching that, to be honest with you. And I know that they're
Sure.
professionals
Yeah.
and like they have a great handle on their language. But the truth is, in order to translate in real time, you have to make decisions on what
Yes.
a word means.
Yes.
And words can
Yes.
mean lots of things.
Well,
Like
and there's also like yeah, yeah. Sorry. Keep
there's
on going.
context clues, there's all kinds of things. You know, people act like communicating is easy. It's really not easy, and we don't communicate in a literal way. Here's an easy one, D. My door's always open. What does that
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to translate that, you have to have an understanding of what that means. Or does that actually mean, do I actually mean my door is always open?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so much there. And just in my experience, I prefer to do sentence to sentence or like thought to thought almost. If it's too long, we can like shorten it, but like let them talk or let me talk and then translate that. Because take the whole thing that I'm thinking and translate that versus like going word for word, like as I'm going, you're going, because I don't want you to translate yourself into a corner, so to speak, where you're like, oh, like, or like then you have to go back. You're like, actually, I thought he was saying this because that's the other fun thing. I've worked with translators who try to get ahead of me. Like they think I know what I'm going to say, the point I'm going to make. And so they kind of go ahead of me a little bit. And then I actually don't make that point. I'm talking about something else. And then they have to backtrack and they have to be like, actually, that's not what he said. Like this has actually happened to me. Right. And
Right.
so language is a really complex thing. And like I know people, you know, when I moved here, Google Translate was terrible.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Google Translate is much better. ChatGPT is much better. You still have to interpret what people are saying. But like when I moved here, I remember like 11 years ago, people would be like, oh man, it must not be that hard because you just use Google Translate for everything, right? I'm like, you try and Google Translate something like from a language that you can't read. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like it's almost better to just not do it. Right. So when I see that, and to be fair, ChatGPT for me has done a great job of translating it. I would say like at least 90%. Really often it does a really great job. There's been a couple moments it doesn't do a good job, but usually it does a good job. But trusting it to be able to like interpret stuff on the fly, I don't know that I'm comfortable with that personally.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean, and like, I mean, one thing that like kind of goes into what you're saying is I'll never forget when I went to Colombia and talking with the translator there who translated for my group, and she was talking about how like essentially you can either translate directly, like even
Hmm.
like in terms of like the basic like idea that they're saying, like, or you can translate the like the what you think the sentiment is,
The
but like change the
interpretation
words
of it.
completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
like and like the difference between interpretation and translation is can be like very very significant, and also can be like very detrimental to the
Hmm.
whole like communicating in a different language to someone. And so like she was very down on interpreting
Hmm.
because like she felt like someone who's like hired or like volunteered to like do a translation when they're specifically supposed to be translating uh shouldn't be putting things in their own words to like get it across. Like
Right.
there's definitely you don't want to like, like directly like word for word translate idioms that won't translate well, but
Right.
like you also don't want to like completely reframe what they're trying to say as like what could potentially be a different meaning
Right.
because you decided that like, oh, this is what I think they're saying, as opposed to like translating what they're actually saying. And
Or
so
you
like,
just don't
yeah.
want to say what they're saying. Right.
I mean, yeah.
This actually has happened to me a lot. There's someone here that translates for me a lot or helps. I say translates as if they're only here to translate, but they help me with stuff like we'll be together or whatever and be doing something. And I've actually gotten very mad at this person because I I don't speak enough Japanese to be able to express myself very well. And when I'm talking with someone, especially when I'm upset and like I'm upset about a situation or whatever and I'm talking, I do understand enough Japanese to know that this person is changing what I'm saying,
Sure. Yeah.
right? I understand
Yeah.
this person enough to know that they are like, I'm really going at something and being pretty upset and like saying mean things and like trying to push the conversation forward. And this person is like really softening everything I'm saying to the point that they're not saying what I'm saying, right? They're just like just changing it, trying to make it more polite. And I'm like, I don't want to be polite. Stop. I'm not trying to be polite right now. I'm upset. Like, I need you, like, I want to express that I'm upset. I didn't say that politely. I was actually very rude because this person is being rude to me. And like, interpreting is on a spectrum, right? In the end, if someone's translating for you, or if, David and I, for people listening, we both grew up Christian, if you're reading a Bible in English, it's a translation. And I'm so sorry to say this, but like, in the end, translating is still someone telling you what they think someone said. Just full stop, right?
Right. Yeah.
This is what they said, but that's what they think it means. And like a great example of this is I can watch like Ghibli movies and the subtitles, if I'm watching with like Japanese speaking and English subtitles, often will write an interpretive thing that makes more sense for the audience, of course, right? It makes more sense. But like to me, it's like, that's not what they said. That's not
Sure.
it. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
that. Sometimes it's not even close. But I'm like, but I can see how to an English speaking audience who doesn't have all of this context and all that stuff, I can see why they say that. But in the end, it's still a choice, right? It's you're being told by someone else, like, this is what this guy is saying to you. But and then I'm talking about Japanese to English, which these languages are really far apart, right? And like how they develop and stuff. So like maybe these AirPods translation ability between like English and German and French and Spanish, these languages that have been closer together, maybe it's not so bad, but I'm still pretty nervous about it personally.
Well, and like I said, like I feel like the first iteration of anything always ends up being like disappointing. Like it doesn't quite extend as far as like they promise it will, or as far as you think it will. Like because it's new technology, and like I mean, like it's essentially like a prototype almost. Like it's almost like a beta of like refining that technology.
Right. And
So
for people listening, and I think this would be good to close on, especially for monolingual people, there's this idea of like, well, I don't need to learn another language because like now with all this translation software and stuff like that, that's helpful. But I would really encourage people to not rely on that as much as possible and to learn it, because learning someone else's language, it's not just like being able to communicate with someone else. It helps teach you how they think, right? Like
right.
when you start to learn a language and you start to realize like how, you can or cannot express yourself in that language, or what's easier, what's not, and all this, it really teaches you a lot about people and people groups and all of that kind of stuff when you start to look at someone's language, right? Language and culture is inseparable, and it's just a really good experience. And so like for me, growing up American, speaking English, the most widely spoken language in the world, like it's easy to be like, oh, they should just learn English and why should I learn anything else? And it's like, actually, not to be too cliche, but like learning another language really teaches you a lot about other people.
Yep.
And
I would agree with that.
And also, to be fair, using these tools, it doesn't like, if it's hard for you to interpret a government form in your own language and you have to go slow and make sure you really read it over, what makes you think you're going to be able to do it in another language?
Foreign language? Yeah.
Right. Of course.
I mean,
of course, these
tools.
That's
a really good point. Yeah.
Are super helpful, but people will be like, oh, Johnny, are you fluent? I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, can I go to the grocery store? Yeah. Can I go through a drive-through? Yeah, sure. Can I fill out all of my own government forms? No, I'm way too freaked out to do that. I'm like, what does this say? I think it says this. Is that what it says? And, if that's hard in your own language, it's even harder in one that you're learning. And so using tools like that can be really helpful, but, it shouldn't keep people from trying. And maybe we've gone this whole podcast without talking about it. But one of the things that David and I talked about was Charlie Kirk's assassination, and whether or not we would be able to avoid talking about that because it's been on our minds. We should probably say we don't condone political violence, right, D?
Right. Yes.
People have a lot of feelings about it. I have a lot of feelings about it, but I would say that learning another language helps you understand other people who are different than you. In that, being able to understand people who are different than you and is really helpful. And it only helps you grow. So I would recommend that people do that.
Yeah, I know. I would agree. I think that empathy is always a very important thing. And
I thought empathy was made up by the left.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just quoting Charlie Kirk before we go. And I'm not going to let him. I'm not going to let him cut this out. I'm not going to let him cut it out of the podcast. I'm going to keep bringing it up so that he can't cut it out, or maybe he's going to beep it. I don't know. Anyway, make sure you guys like. Yeah. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and do all these things.
A lot of empathy necessary in Pokemonaria too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And make sure you listen and like and share this podcast with people you know. All right, bye. Get out of here, Craig.